Toes down, I'll be free until the end. Crib outside the city.
Is there anything that Lionel Messi is better than you at?
It's opinions. I respect your opinions. Maybe in your opinion Messi is better than me, but in my mind I'm better than him.
I do it again. Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up. I'm just doing me, everything is on me. Oh, you matter what? Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up. I'm just doing me, everything is on me. Oh, you matter what? Told her if it's all me, everything is on me. Gon' back it up. Matter what? Told you I'ma do me. Why you hating on me? It's not adding up. I do roll like a Mack truck. Country heart, I might cop a farm and go act up. Lot of scars, I was cold hearted, now I'm back up. Keep it real, I do this once a month. I don't rap much. I just hit the money and go stack up. Only buy car cards and get tatted up. All that other bull, it don't matter much. You only climb me, I put the ladders up. No fault, I done doubled up on the workload. I think I fell in love with the bankroll. Pray up, get money, then we lay low. Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up. I'm just doing me, everything is on me. Oh, you matter what? Add it up,
Absolutely banging entrance song. I don't care what anyone says. It's the best podcast intro song in the world. Don't care what anyone says. Yes, guys, I'm Si. Welcome to Ace Podcast Nation. Welcome to Rhodri Giggs on Football. We are here tonight for only 45 minutes, but it's going to be 45 minutes of fun. 45 minutes of non-stop, brutally honest football opinions. We are going to talk about the shambolic transfer window of Manchester United, the shambolic transfer window of Liverpool. Chelsea have just got their own rules. Man City won a treble and have spent another 200 million. What is going on?
Is it end tonight? Is it end tonight?
No, tomorrow. Yeah.
There's still a couple of signings yet. Would you? Still a couple of signings now. It's usually it's the last minute.
Mate, I'll tell you what. Someone just sent me something which I don't know. It's funny though. Just before we kind of crack on, we haven't got a Super 6 update this week because Will's on holiday, on a well-deserved holiday, I must say. He does a lot of hard work for charity and can't begrudge him.
You know, I got more than you again, so
I don't believe that to be true.
Forget that, so.
Have you got any proof?
Yeah, it's on my phone. Super 6.
Unfortunately, you're using your phone though, so you can't see it. So
I'm not using the phone.
If we can't update, right. Anyway,
you froze. Look like you're going to sneeze. So,
right, there we go. But in fairness, mate, you did say you want to be 45 minutes. So I'm trying to be quick. Trying to be quick for the people.
Have you froze?
I don't know. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can still hear you.
Right, that's fine. It'll catch up now. It's my computer's playing silly buggers. So basically, my brother is he's running a thing, and he's doing a charity run, basically raising money for Crohn's and colitis sufferers, which obviously includes me because I have Crohn's disease, as I've talked about before. So I wanted to bring attention to it. I was meant to wear the t-shirt, but as usual, I forgot. I got form for that. Just ask Away Day Apparel. Actually got them on tonight, but there we go. But if you'd like to donate or support his run, then please do. I'll chuck the link and everything in the description. Obviously, it's a disease and a charity which is close to my heart, and I know a couple of people who watch the podcast have already donated, so I appreciate that massively, you guys. And I can't find the post, but I will put the link up straight after the show. My computer's completely frozen, so we'll just crack on without that. I am joined as ever by the one and only ex-Salford City, ex-Stabber of Swift Town, Mr. Rhodri Giggs. How are you, my friend? You good? Computer's frozen. Good start. Let's go. Switch over quick to the phone. Today has just been one long fucking disaster. Just one long disaster. It's just one long disaster. Today is just today. Oh, right. Let me go with him. Right. Apologies for that. Not quite sure what happened, but my computer froze, so we'll switch to my phone for a bit. Where did I freeze to, mate? What part was I on? Oh, mate, I got no sound. Today can just piss off, like, to be quite honest. Right, give me a sec. Just talk, mate. Talk about the marvellous football that Cardiff City played this week. Well, I saw this mic out.
Oh, it's me that's muted. It was me that was muted.
Shambolic.
You know what, right. The kids were playing outside, they started screaming, so I better mute that. And, I couldn't see you scrambling, and I seen the red button mute. I thought, shit.
I thought I was going insane then because he was on and it just wasn't working. Right, we are here. I am joined by Rhodri Giggs. I think we got that far. I don't know what people heard, so I'm going to very quickly.
I'll say it again. We've talked about me beating you on Super 6 again, but obviously we can't go into it because Will's not here. So, yeah, moving swiftly on.
Yeah, indeed. My brother's doing a run for charity, raising money for Crohn's and colitis, which is obviously a charity which is very important to me because I got Crohn's. If people want to donate and stuff like that, I'll chuck the link up in the description and on social media. It's on my Facebook afterwards. I know a few other lads who watch the podcast and the channel have already done so appreciate you. Thank you very much. And let's move on to the football because what that was, that little 2 minutes or 3 minutes of internet problems was pretty much my day encapsulated because it's been I had a puncher and all sorts. Right, mate, before we start on the football, I want you to think about this and then tell me at the end, what are the top 5 bands to come out of Manchester in your opinion? Okay, so we'll go back to that at the end. Plenty to choose from, but I'm interested in your take on it. All right.
Manchester or Northwest?
Manchester. So yeah, I give you Northwest, but you can't have the Beatles, for instance, because they're shit. Because they're shite. Right. Yeah. Transfer window's going mental, mate. What I don't understand, and I still don't understand, and I will never understand, is United are bidding like 2 million loan fee for Amrabat because they can't find 22 million. Effectively, so I go through the reasons why in a minute, but then you've got Chelsea spent about literally, like not even exaggerating, about 1.5 to 2 billion in the last 12 months. And they're still signing players. They're signing Cole Palmer from Manchester City for 45 million. You've got other teams who've got money. Effectively, everybody. Got money. They're buying all these. But Nottingham Forest put a bid in for Amrabat, which got accepted by Fiorentina, but he turned them down. So they've got money. They've spent money, but for some reason
they don't want to put anything else more money in it.
Well, right.
Do you understand that now? These have rinsed the club dry, and they're not going to put any of their own money in. These people who are coming in, Todd Bowley or whatever his name is, come in and properly invested. These have been here 20 years, rinsing the club year in, year out, and there's nothing else to rinse. That's why they need to get rid.
So this is why, even as someone who's not a United fan, right, I will not have a fan of any club stick up for the Glazers and say, oh, yeah, but they've spent money for United. They have never spent a penny of their own money. And so just for anyone who doesn't understand why a club of United size cannot spend any money, this is why. So Kieran Maguire, who is like a football finance expert, has put this thread up on Twitter, and it says, some have contacted me re why United's FFP issues, given the Premier League limit, is £105 million loss over 3 years. He says that's not quite the case. The limit is 15 million plus up to 90 million in equity investment from the owners. So basically, you can have a loss as a football club, which is 15 million plus the owners can put in 90 million a year over that 3-year period to make up to 105 million pounds, which can be your loss, and then you can kind of effectively run your spend as you want. The Glazer family have only put in £0 million in those 3 years, so the allowable loss that United have is 15 million. So in order for them to navigate, if you think how much they're paying out in interest and dividends to the Glazers, that's why they've got to sell players to buy players.
This is what people need to understand. If Manchester United was not in any debt, they would outspend anyone because they earn the most. They have the biggest. They just have the biggest sponsorship deals. They get a lot of money off that sponsorship from TV. It's just not massive amounts of much, but then you've got these billionaires that are spending billions.
Yeah, it's outrageous, mate. Absolutely outrageous, because what you get is you get a club the size of United's who can't, and we're not talking, they can't find 100 million to buy Declan Rice or 200 million to bid for Mbappe. You're talking 20. Fiorentina have said this week that they would accept 18 million pounds, so about 20 million, 22 million euro. 18 million pound player, and United cannot afford to do it as a deal.
They'll do it, but they'll just just drag it out. It's going to be a last-minute deal. It's just pathetic. It's just so badly run.
Did you see the offer they put in?
Stadium's falling to pieces as well. It's the training grounds.
There's leaks in the roof in the stadium. It's outrageous, mate. They placed a bid for Amrabat yesterday night, which was a £2 million loan fee, which was split. So even the £2 million for the loan fee was split into 3 payments. And people question then why, United fans are so angry with the Glazers, and why football fans generally were so against that type of ownership. United had a £2 million loan fee for Amrabat last night, and they had to split it over 3 payments. It's outrageous, mate. And look, I'm not saying that on the other side of things, the transfer choices they have made have been the right ones over the last few years, because they've obviously made a lot of mistakes. And even this year, you'd question whether did they need a player like Mason Mount, or did they need a player like Amrabat more? And I think, the answer is probably, could you have spent that 60 million on Mason Mount? Could you have spent 40 million on Maddison and 20 million on Amrabat, and your squad looks better? I think that's fair. And look, Mason Mount, I think, will go on and have a good career at United, but it's those type of decisions which I think sometimes.
I don't think you will. I've seen so many players come over the years.
There's no guarantees, is there?
No guarantees. But I don't. What I've seen, it's not been a good start for him. It's not been a good start. And what I've seen over the years, and I've been watching it a long time now, players don't really have a good start. It seems to continue that way.
Who can you think of?
It doesn't, but he's not. Just looks ordinary. It just looks,
Yeah, I think he's only played 3 games in the league. I think what's interesting is, off the top of your head, how many United players signings over the years can you think of who got off to a bad start but it ultimately came good? So I'd say Aaron Wan-Bissaka is one. I would say Berbatov didn't start particularly well, but then went on and did quite well for United. Patrice Evra obviously got hooked at half-time, but that was one game. I'm thinking more of a prolonged period of a few games. Harry Maguire obviously got off to a rocky start and now is the best centre-back in world football. There's obviously that one. But there's, De Gea is a good shout, actually, from Reece there. He made a lot of mistakes early on and then came good ultimately.
Well, that was coaching as well, though. He was still susceptible to crosses even now. So, but that was his weak link. But he was. If you look at him when he come, he was very slight. Even though he's still slight, but it was really slight. And you got people, managers like Sam Allardyce, who would expose that. So, but yeah, it's not a long list, mate. And I think the players when they come in, they hit the ground running. You know, when they don't, I hope I'm wrong.
So another thing, which I was going to tell you this message I just got sent about half hour ago. So someone, one of my mates, who's like a sort of football journalist type media guy up towards the Northwest way, texted me and said that United are trying to get Reguilon from Spurs. He's the left back, is doing a medical, or is about, he's got a medical booked in. They're trying to get Amrabat on loan and then buy him at the end of the season. And they're also trying to get a striker in, which will also be a loan. And I was like, it boggles my mind, mate, because they turned down that money, didn't they, from West Ham for McTominay? What was it, 30 million? And I understand why. I think so in the cold light of day, Scott McTominay, I think, is worth 40 million. With his experience, his international experience, his quality, I think he's much better than what some people will give him credit for. But in the situation that United are in, needing a centre-back and a centre midfielder, I just think they should have taken that 30 million. They just should have, because now they're stuck with McTominay.
You don't know the backstory, mate. They might have accepted it and the player didn't want to go. So,
yeah. But I mean, it was weird.
Didn't want to go, so
you've got McTominay, who's not getting a look in from the manager. He's not coming on. He's not, he's just sat on the bench. You've got Maguire, who they can't really sell now, because ultimately, if they sell him, they haven't got enough time to bring anyone in. So he's stuck there for the season. Is he going to throw his toys out of the pram, and is he going to be a problem in the dressing room? It's wild. So you've got McTominay on the bench. The manager doesn't fancy him. He's not going to play. You've got Maguire. They can't really sell now with this a day left, because they haven't got enough time to get someone else in. Varane is injured, so Lindelof's going to play alongside Martinez. No Shaw, so you're looking at Johnny Evans or Maguire as the substitute defenders, unless they go with one of the youngsters. And it's suddenly become a bit shambolic. And also then, Harry Maguire is in the England squad, but you've got Gareth Southgate caveat in that with, we've got a lot of young players in the squad for this training camp. So that's why Harry Maguire's in there. So it's almost like he's saying, if there was other players available and things like that, he wouldn't be in the squad. So is Harry Maguire going to want to hang around knowing that? So it's bizarre.
We'll find out in 24 hours.
Yeah, it's bizarre, mate. If United go into this season now, if they don't make any more signings, I think they got issues. And that's weird, because a couple of weeks ago, I thought if they got Amrabat in and one more, I thought they were really well set up.
They need a striker. They need a striker. They need the striker. This English
Hoyland,
this injured striker that they've got. This young striker. They need him back playing ASAP.
What a game to make his debut in, mate! If he plays on the weekend,
a bit too much of a big game, but you never know. If he hits the ground running, I hope he needs to hit the ground running, because all the forwards over the years that have come, I think over the years is as far as back as Andy Cole, Dwight York, then Rue Van Nistelrooy, then Wayne Rooney, Tevez, Van Persie, they all hit the ground running, first or second game scoring goals. So for a striker, you need to score goals. If it goes 4 or 5 games, it's quite difficult, because he's a young lad. So he needs to score early, and hopefully he does. And it would be no better time to score than Sunday. So if he comes on, or he comes on for 30 minutes and scores the winner, you know what I mean? It'd just be hero straight away, and that's what I mean about hitting the ground running.
You know, though, I agree with you. I don't think he probably starts. I think he comes off a bench. However, United have been super secretive about if he's trained this week, which I think might indicate that you might see him starting.
Well, he's been picked for the international, so that would
Yeah.
indicate he's fit. So.
And his injury was a very vague. It wasn't like he's got a stress fracture. It was there's a hot spot which could lead to a stress fracture. So I wondered how much is it just he wasn't quite match fit, and they've just been getting him, helping him along a bit and giving him some time to settle into the team and the area and all this. So I'm going to be interested, mate, because I didn't think Arsenal were very good on the weekend. I got to say, like United were terrible for 5 minutes, but Arsenal, I thought, were very lucky not to lose to Fulham.
It's whoever turns up in these games, and then if they both turn up, then it's toss up in it.
Yeah, I mean the obvious problem for United is under Ten Hag, their away form against the top 8 is awful. They drew one game versus the top 8 and lost the rest. That's problematic. I mean, away from home, that's problematic form, isn't it?
Yeah.
They've got to do something about that this year, or they're going to be nowhere. On the signings front for other clubs, Fati from Barcelona has gone to by Brighton. I think that could potential. You can't say it's a clever signing now because he might not come off because he hasn't played a great deal of football over the last year or so. But going back 18 months, he was one of the hottest rated players in the world. He had a $1 billion release clause. Like, he's clearly got some talent. It's whether this last year or so of not really playing as how much that affected him. I just wish he was Welsh so we could everyone would just call him Fatty. But look, that's a clever signing if it comes off, isn't it? Let's be honest, because he's clearly got some sort of ability because he's in Barcelona's first team squad at such a young age. For them to stick in such a big release clause clearly states that they thought he was going to be something special. It hasn't quite developed into that, but he's so young that I don't think you can't write him off. If he comes to Brighton, it's a great signing, mate. I think
it's a great sign. It's going to take time to adjust. If the league, it's a lot different than Premier League, but he's obviously got a really good coach and a good team to go into. So just needs to settle down, acclimate to all the surroundings, and like I say, if he hits the ground running. But
is there any way Brighton can get in the top 4 this year?
Yes.
We'll talk about the Champions League groups in a minute, but did you see Newcastle's? Fucking hell. They couldn't have got a worse group, I don't think.
They'll do well at home then. They'll do well at home.
Mate, they ain't getting out of that group. I'm sorry.
No, but they'll do better than people think at home.
Yeah,
That is difficult, especially in the winter months. These foreign teams won't want to go to Newcastle. Mate, it's frigging freezing.
Yeah, I think I start to think you've got some sort of agenda against Newcastle, mate.
I've got no agenda. I've got every
just
agenda.
The weather.
I'm going there in December, January, because you come out and you can't feel your toes.
Yeah. Reese's mum says Harry Maguire hasn't been the same since the Greek incident. Do you agree with that?
100%. Couldn't agree anymore. I've said that loads of times anyway.
I'm the man.
There was no talks with him for 2 years, and then suddenly this happens. Then boom.
Yeah, I accept it. It's certainly played a part in some fashion, haven't it?
It shouldn't, but
yeah, it just haven't it? So Gravenbach is gone to Liverpool. I think that's a great start. I think he'll do so well for Klopp. He will. He's exactly the type of player which Klopp will do well with. Coaching and he's a quality player, mate. He's just couldn't get in the Bayern team. It's again be very interesting to see how he develops because they desperately needed that sort of deep lying midfielder. However, he's not an out and out like a Casemiro, like a defensive like a CDM. He's more of a Frankie de Jong, like probing, and so I still think they're lacking a bit of defensive cover in the middle of the park, but there's still a day left, and I think you'll see United, Liverpool, maybe some others. What does this say about Spurs, by the way? That Fatty, or should I say Fatty, was he agreed terms with Spurs and Brighton, but chose to go to Brighton.
The coach, coach the big deal. The coach is one of them up and coming coaches. I think he'll be the next big one to leave to a big club. He carries on what he's doing because he's very good football. With that team, what he was doing last year, and how they were playing, even looking at the stats, they were the second best possession-based team behind Manchester City. And it was very good to watch as well and effective. So if he carries on with that, you had Danny Welbeck looking like a fucking Wilby up front.
Yeah,
not disrespecting Danny Welbeck.
No, I know.
But he caused United proper problems last year. Danny Welbeck and Brighton did. So yeah.
Danny Welbeck on his day, I think, is quite an.
He's an handful because he's tall, he's big, he's quick, he's lanky, he's got a good touch, he can score, he can get hold of it, so he can do everything you want in a striker. He just gets injured a lot. Well, he just tends to get a few injuries now and again. But he's a striker, what you classic Premier League striker. He can do a lot basically.
Yeah, spot on, mate. I meant to ask you, sorry, about the Spurs fullback who looks like he's going to United. Sergio Reguilón, obviously at Madrid previously, was absolutely outstanding at Madrid, to be fair. And United were linked with him when he left, but they ultimately pipped for Telles because he was cheaper. And then obviously he's gone to Spurs. He did all right for a bit, and then new managers come in, and you know what it's like. They don't fancy the player, and he's on the bench.
Spurs look like they're on the up at the minute. They started well.
Yeah,
playing the Spurs way. But yeah, they decently beat us convincingly. But we were very good. But there'll be tougher tests on the way for Spurs. But it's a great start for him. And I was doubtful of this manager coming from Scotland, but they look very good as well.
Yeah, and do you know the weird thing is? So a couple of days ago, it looked like Cucurella was going from Chelsea to United on loan. It was all set; they'd agreed a loan fee and everything, and then Chelsea played him in the Carabao Cup yesterday, which means he cup tied from not just the Carabao Cup and the FA Cup. So what United then said was that they would take him until January, but they only wanted to loan him until January. But from the player's point of view, if he goes to United, he can't play for another club this year because you can't play for three clubs in the same league, or I think it might even be three clubs. So he'd have had to sit on the bench at Chelsea for the rest of the season. So Chelsea said, no, you've got to take him on for the full season. United said, well, no, because he can't play in the FA Cup or the Carabao Cup. And then now they've moved on to this guy from Spurs, Reguilón. It's really weird, mate, because I didn't really see the benefit of Chelsea playing Cucurella in the Carabao Cup yesterday, knowing that he was on the brink of going on loan to United, other than to cup tie him on purpose, maybe.
I thought they was looking at Rico Henry as well, which I would have welcomed as well. But obviously, this Cucurella. Well,
they've been linked with like every left back under the sun, haven't they? In the last week, it's crazy. Why aren't they giving Alvaro Fernandez a go? I thought he looked pretty good in pre-season.
Pass.
Do you think it's just the pressure? Do you think it's just the pressure of having him as your first choice?
Especially to go in for Arsenal against who will it be? Saka. Come on.
But they could play that. They could play Dallo on Sunday,
and they probably will play Dallo there. But for going on, just don't fancy him. Some managers don't fancy it. Some managers do. It's the way it is.
Yeah, it's a weird one, mate. I wanted to talk to you about Arsenal a little bit because, like I said earlier, I wasn't particularly impressed with them on the weekend. I thought they looked, at the end of last year, they looked mentally soft. They looked like Partey and Zinchenko and these players. They all looked mentally shot. And I thought they looked quite similar in the second half against Fulham. They play in this weird, they had I think it was it Partey was in defence and Havertz in midfield. Ask you a question, right? Do you think sometimes Mikel Arteta tries to be too clever? Like he overthinks it, you know?
Yes. And tries to play players where they really can't play. Or they not can't play, they just haven't got it yet. You know, we've seen it can work if a defender comes into midfield and he's really comfortable on the ball and can become a midfielder and become that extra man. But, you know, it takes work. And even though midfielders are playing at right back and coming in, it's still starting at a different position. It's, you know, it should be easy because everything's in front of you, you can see it, but it's just one that you've got to work on positional wise.
Do you think that his like the comparisons that he gets towards him and Pep, do you think that's part of why he's trying to or why he overthinks it so much?
Because no, it's just that there's a philosophy there, and they've obviously got the kind of the same philosophy to try and get extra man in midfield to give overloads, and they've obviously worked together. And they've, you know, when you work together, you pick up little bits from different coaches and different managers.
Yeah,
so that's what he's probably done. And you know, yes, it's kind of like Pep's, but he'll have his own kind of style. But that's what you do as a coach or as a manager. As you're going on as a player, you see coaches and you think, oh, that's good. Oh, that didn't work, so I'll leave away. And that's how you go through. And when you're into coach, you think about them experiences and implement it into your coach and manager or not, if it's a negative one. So,
I will die on the hill, mate, that Kai Havertz is not a central midfielder. No one will convince me otherwise.
I don't think he's a central midfielder. He's more of he's a number 10 in it.
Yeah. But he's playing him as an 8, mate. You know, he's playing Rice and then Havertz and
again, mate. They might have seen something in him and they're trying to change him, and that'll take time. But because he's obviously not great at goal scoring, but they've paid 60 odd million for something. So I'm gonna give that time. Nothing shows me that it's going to be a good signing, but I'm willing to give that one time because he's got good touches. He's got something. He just, you know, needs to be better, a lot better.
Maybe like Arteta's seen.
You're telling me Havertz is more expensive than a Scott McTominay? You know what I mean?
This is what I mean. It doesn't make any sense. But then also, like with Havertz, I think, and look, the Arsenal fans, you know what they're like. They were in full flow after the Fulham game. Martinelli is shit, according to them. Havertz is a waste of money. Partey should get out the club. Saka is the only one that doesn't get any grief. Who else was it? Saliba, Ramsdale. They're all, you know, it's 3 games into the season, man.
Arsenal fans in it. That's modern society as well these days. You know, back in the day, you wouldn't get all this crap, but it's social media. It's just pressure, more pressure.
Has social media ruined football fans in terms of everything's instant, so it's just you get idiots who are more vocal and get heard, or have football fans' knowledge got worse over the years?
Yeah, it's got worse because you get people talking about it really don't understand, but then you obviously get people. It's got its plus and its minuses. You just got to weigh out which is the pluses and which is the minuses, because yes, there's a lot of because I can't be say just because you know play the game you don't know, because that's wrong. It's just it's absolute rubbish. Of course you can be able to know the game if you haven't played it, but you just got a better insight if you have played it at any higher level. That's all. And you know the ins and outs and how it really works. But
then you also get people like Agbong Lahore and Jamie O'Hara and you know these.
Yeah, no, that they're just working and getting for clickbait, aren't they? These are and ultimately the bitter people and really wouldn't be there if the careers went the way they wanted to. So yeah, you don't really take notice to people like that.
And I also think there's like it is like a tale of two sides, because while social media has created these fans who are like instant and toxic and all the rest of it, but you can also, there's certain YouTube channels where you can get some of the best football analysis in the world in terms of like breakdowns of tactics and all sorts. Like, there's some incredible work done by some people who, you know, who are not professional footballers, never been professional footballers, but they understand.
So in a percent, if I given a percentage, I'd say like 70% was plus and 75% was plus, 25% was minus, because you get these
Idiots.
these clowns who just do it. You know, some of them aren't even fans of their own club. They just
Just slate them, don't they? Reece says Arsenal wanted 50 million for Balogun. He went for 35. They need cover at the back. They're playing Partey at right back. They're sending Tierney out on loan to Sociedad, whilst also trying to sell Emile Smith-Rowe. It feels like they're desperate for cash, but they're not addressing the issues. Do you agree with that?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a weird one, isn't it? It's the Arsenal. Like, on one hand, you think, oh, their window's going quite well, and then suddenly they just look a bit disjointed again. But
they'll need more. They'll need more. They've made some good signings. You know, Havertz ones, I've yet to see it, but like I say, I'm going to give it time. Rice would be a very good signing. Keeper would be a very good signing. So I'm not a really big fan of Ramsdale, but they've been had a tough injury with Timber, who's gone out in the first game, which he was going to be a good player for him. So they've lost some players early on.
Yeah. I mean, like same as United, haven't it? United have lost 2 left backs. They've lost Varane, Mount. There's all sorts going on. It's interesting. Like, so as of today, so what are we, 20-9, including injuries, who, in your opinion, has the best chance of finishing second behind City? So you look at the signings Liverpool have made, United have made, Arsenal, Chelsea. I think Chelsea have got the best chance because they just spend until they get it right.
They will get it right eventually because they've bought so much, and once they saw that puzzle out,
and they got no European football ever.
So, pardon?
Chelsea.
This Jackson kid could be it. Comes in, hits the ground running, scores a few goals. Next minute, you're number 9 striker for Chelsea.
Yeah, what do you think of that Cole Palmer going to Chelsea? 45 million.
He wants to play football, doesn't he? But going to Chelsea, he's going to have the same opportunities as at City. You know, he's got to, like you say, you got to go there and hit the ground running. You go there, you play, you score a few goals, make a few assists. You play more. You go in, you get there, you don't. You're just one of the few at Chelsea. So this is what I'm saying about going into a club and hit the ground running. You become a fan's favourite straight away, and you get a little bit of leeway. But ultimately, you want to be playing. So if you come in and score in your first game, you're gonna play again. So it's all about getting into that new club and hitting the ground running and doing well and scoring goals or making assists or doing whatever you pay to do.
Yeah, I also want to ask you about the Champions League draw. Very interesting, like in terms of just the some of the English teams. Like Man City got a really quite nice draw, to be quite honest. I think that's the best way to put it. Like, you can't. There's no other way to put it. I'm going to bring it up on the screen just because it's easier for us to have a look at. What as a United fan, like, what did you make of United's group?
Tricky, right? But obviously Bayern will be tricky home and away. Copenhagen, I think, should be okay, but Galatasaray, they'll be tough away from home. Galatasaray, but you win your home games, and I can see at least 9 points there. And it's just where you get the others from, if 9 points is enough. But I definitely see 2 home wins and possibly a home and away win against Copenhagen. So there's 9 points. It's just, can you get an away win or a home win against Bayern and an away win against Galatasaray?
I think realistically, United should finish at least second in that group, shouldn't they?
Yes, I agree. Yeah.
obviously buying a Harry Kane will be interesting. And obviously, we're saying this, the window isn't closed. United could do some business. Who knows? Then you got the next group would be in Seville, Arsenal, PSV, and Lens. I think that's a pretty simple group for Arsenal, isn't it?
Yeah, you would fancy Arsenal to win that group.
Yeah, Seville's tough. PSV away is probably difficult.
Although PSV, I think that's Ruud van Nistelrooy, that, isn't it?
Well, yeah, he left though, didn't he? Didn't he?
Oh, he left. Okay.
I don't know. Yeah, I think so. But like Seville, home and away is difficult, but I still would expect Arsenal to win. PSV away, I think it will be tricky, but you still expect Arsenal to get.
I expect them to win that comfortably.
Yeah, I think so. Group C, not a bad group. Napoli. Well, saying that, actually, it's an easy group for the two. You got Napoli and Madrid, and then Braga and.
Union Berlin won't be pushovers.
Who did they sign? They signed someone big this week, didn't they?
They won't be all pushovers, so it won't be easy, especially.
Union Berlin signed. They signed someone. They signed someone yesterday, who was Bonici, Italian defender. But obviously he's old, isn't he? But
he's 48.
Yeah, he's about 62, isn't he? But who do you think wins that group, Madrid or Napoli?
Madrid been looking good.
Jude Bellingham on fire, mate, isn't he?
Yeah, that one's up for grabs there. You'd fancy Inter, but Benfica look strong. Real Sociedad, South. That's not a gimme for anyone there. So that one's up for grabs.
Yeah, I think then you got Group E. You got Feyenoord, Atletico Madrid, Lazio, and Celtic. I don't think Celtic.
Celtic could win a couple there.
Celtic at home is impossible.
Yeah, it's tough. Yeah. Paris, Dortmund, Milan, Newcastle. Ew. Well, Paris aren't the team that they were last year. There's no Neymar to deal with. There's no Messi to deal with. So,
but
you only got Mbappe to deal with. So, Dortmund, they're not as strong as they have been. But even though they'll be very strong, Milan always strong in the Champions League. So, yeah, but Newcastle will surprise a few there at home.
Yeah, I mean they might pick up some points at home. I agree, but the thing with Paris, mate, is you make a great point. It's Messi, it's Neymar. These are historically some of the best players that have played in the modern era. I would argue that the transfer business they've done, their squad overall is better to have a good run at the Champions League, better suited to have a good run at the Champions League than they were last year, excluding obviously Messi. They got Donnarumma in goal. They've got Navas as a backup keeper. They've still got Mbappe. As it stands, they've got Verratti, although I think he's going to go. They've got Marquinhos and Kimpembe at the back. They signed what's that midfielder who everyone wanted? They got that Wijnaldum, who used to play for Liverpool. They got a lot of very, very good players, and they've done some intelligent business this year. And I actually expect them to do better in the Champions League now than they have in the previous couple of years with all the Galacticos. They've made some really clever signings. But, it's early days, isn't it? But that's a difficult group, mate. So I say that. I expect them to do well. They could go out of that group. They could miss out on Europa League even, because the team which finished third goes in the Europa League. But I mean, if I told you now we had a time machine and I told you that Dortmund won that group and Milan finished second and Newcastle finished third, I mean, it wouldn't exactly be a, oh my God, that's like groundbreaking, shocking stuff, isn't it?
No, you won't be surprised. Told you won't be surprised, because they won't be used to playing that kind of quality in France. No,
especially in the early parts of the Champions League, they won't be used to it. So they signed Milan Skriniar at the back, who's obviously a quality defender. They signed Ugarte, who's a very, very good defensive midfielder. Rafinha, who used to play for Leeds. They got Dembele, Icardi, Mbappe, Asensio from Madrid. They got some very, very good players. Draxler. What a squad that is. And I think they're more balanced than they've ever been. So then, who do you think goes through from Group F, mate?
I'm going to stick my neck out and say Milan and Newcastle.
Interesting. I'm going to go Paris and Newcastle. I've got a feeling that Newcastle will win their home games and then pick up a draw in Germany or Milan and just make it interesting. They might sneak through, you know. Group G, Man City's group is ridiculous. I mean, they just won the treble. They just won everything. They could not have got a better group.
Oh my God. Leipzig won't be easy away from home, but other than that,
At this point, they may as well just pull out Leipzig and Man City in the same number in the draw. They're always together.
Barcelona, Porto as well. Easy, that one.
Yeah, that's it. So what's the
finish the way that's lined up there?
Yeah, Newcastle's the group of death, isn't it? I think that's the hardest group.
Yeah.
I think
it's not hardly the group of death because the teams aren't really that strong, but it's just big names, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's difficult to pick out the top two.
No, Dortmund have been in the Champions League for forever. Won it. Paris, they've not won it, but they've been in it and strong and always got to the last stages. And Milan have always been a stonewall in the Champions League, won it multiple times. So yeah, it's difficult, but not as strong as it would be 20 years ago.
Yeah, and I think
even though Paris would be a gimme there 20 years ago.
Yeah, well, it would have been. Yeah.
And 20 years ago, you'd be playing like Kaká, Costa Curta. Cool.
Yeah, it's interesting, mate. It's all interesting. I just don't see Celtic. Like they might, but maybe like a team like Celtic, they're looking at their group and they're thinking, well, if we can get third, we're in. You know, you drop into.
I think just not shot in the home games, and see if you can nick one. Because Celtic Park, like I say, it's tough. And you go up there as well in the if it's the winter months. If it goes into January, if you're playing before, it's not easy. It's cold up there. It's noisy, and it's you always do well there. I remember United going up there multiple times, and would draw or got beat once. So it's not easy, and they were strong sides. United took up there as well. Yeah,
and I think like Newcastle and Celtic in particular, they're so difficult to play in their own places that, like you say, some of the teams from around Europe, they won't fancy it at all. And look, Newcastle have got some very, very good players. I know they've had a bit of a wobble the last two games, but they have got some very, very good footballers. They started really well, and I think you write them off would be silly, even in that tough group. But of course, it's going to be hard, isn't it? It's going to be hard, let's be honest. Right, Super 6 predictions for this week, my friend. Let's have a look. First game up is Man City versus Fulham at Manchester City.
4-0.
3-1. I've gone Chelsea at home to Nottingham Forest.
2-0.
I've gone 3-1 Chelsea. Burnley at home to Spurs.
3-1.
3-1 Chelsea. I've gone, yeah.
So you've gone 3-1 City, 3-1 Chelsea.
Yeah, wait till you hear my next prediction. Burnley versus Spurs.
Spurs 2-1.
I've gone Burnley 1, Spurs 3. Brighton versus Newcastle at Brighton.
4-2 Brighton.
Oof. That's a prediction and a half, isn't it? I've gone safe bet there, 1-1. Palace versus Wolves.
1-0 Palace.
2-1 Wolves. And finally, the big game of the weekend, Arsenal at home to Manchester United.
Score draw, 2-2.
I've gone 4-2 to Arsenal. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. United are going to miss Varane, and I've got a nagging feeling that old Harry Maguire is going to come out to play, and then you've got a problem. So
yeah, all right.
Right, top 5 bands to ever come out of Manchester, my friends.
Oasis, Stone Roses, Happy Mondays, Charlatans.
No Joy Division?
Who?
No Joy Division?
Nah, for me.
James.
James, there you go. Bosh, James.
Quality,
Oh,
mate. James.
All sit down, all laid. Few great songs. James.
Absolute bangers, mate. I went to watch Oasis in Cardiff, and James supported them, mate. And James were better than Oasis.
Yeah,
it's just fucking awesome.
I went to Oasis once to the Manchester City Stadium and got piss thrown all over me and never went back. I ain't going to anything ever again. People pissing in pint pots and throwing it. Yeah, not for me. Stuff like that. Not for me. I was like, what's going on here?
For the millennium New Year's Eve, I went to the Manic Street Preachers concert in the Millennium Stadium, and I left at about 10:30, 11, and saw in the New Year in like a pub next door because it was so shit. You had to queue for literally like 2 hours to get a beer. You were only allowed to buy 2 beers at a time, so you couldn't even queue up for your mates and get like a couple of you and get loads. It was shit, and I said I'd never go back to a stadium to watch a gig again. It was
it's the only other one I've been to. The Manchester Oasis one at City Stadium. I'm trying to think which others I've been to. I'm not really a big concert guy. I went to Snoop Dogg at the MEN.
Was that good?
And what?
Was that good?
That got shut down. Someone let a firearm off.
Oh yeah, that's right. I remember now.
And the speaker weren't working properly, so Snoop wasn't happy. So yeah, as soon as the gun went off, that was it. Because it went off because the speakers weren't working. Snoop wasn't happy. He was saying and then suddenly it kicked off and back, Gunchester back in them days, wasn't it? So
yeah.
And then what was the last one?
Was it a gun from the crowd or was it from his entourage?
Yeah, come from the crowd. I'll take that. Managed to cricket.
Fucking hell! Talk about extremes.
Lancashire. That was the best one. Lancashire Cricket Club. It was in the summer.
Old Trafford.
Sat outside in the summer. It was nice summer evening. And but take that. Sweet.
I tell you what, I did go to, which was good in the summer, was the Mighty Boosh Festival. That was flipping awesome. There was
the best thing I've been to is music wise was I went to Glastonbury a long time ago, and that was because it got so much variety, hadn't you?
Yeah.
You listen to David Gray, and then you listen to
Death Metal,
and then you got the streets there.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Good,
open cinemas, any food you want, good vibe, families mooching about. It is big, but yeah.
What do you think of the best band you've seen or best artist you've seen play live in terms of the quality of their voice and that sort of thing?
Well, that's the only 3 people I've seen live. What do you mean?
All right, so take that was the best live, would I?
No, I mean, it was just like the best.
Yeah,
I had the best time. Not necessarily the best, but I'd rather listen to Oasis than take that. But
best band I ever saw live, Jamiroquai. Well, they were incredible.
Now in my car.
Yeah.
Put it on the other day.
Good summer music, isn't it?
Put it on the other day at work, and all the kids were like, "Hey, what's this?" You don't realise it's like 30 years old.
Yeah, it's mental, mate, isn't it?
I was listening to Jamiroquai when I was at Torquay on my first year apprenticeship, because that's when it just come out. And it was 1993, 1994.
It's mad that is how long ago that is. Jesus Christ.
That's when it come out, and it was massive. I remember that like that. Gabrielle Dreams.
Yeah.
All That You Want is another bit. All that.
Ace of Base.
Yeah, Ace of Base. Shaggy, Shabba. Good stuff.
Proper, yeah. I tell you what, James live was probably up there, but they were obviously the support act. But they got so many.
I was told by my family member there had been a lot of people. The best person they seen live was Michael Jackson.
Yeah, I've heard the same thing.
That was when he was in Cardiff, the Old Arms Park, or when he did Cardiff.
Yeah. Do you know who was the worst I seen? And I was so gutted because he is one of my.
Don't say Tom Jones.
Ian Brown, mate.
Oh, all right, yeah.
mate. We were. Do you know what? Right.
It
was-
can't really sing. They just got good bands. You know what I mean? Not,
Yeah.
But
But you know,
not in the studio. You make anyone.
so I went when he brought out his first album, My Style, and it was a good album, wicked. I was so excited because I had just missed the Roses, so I was like, I'm finally going to get to see Ian Brown. It's going to be wicked. And like for the first 40 minutes of his gig, he was so bad, mate, so bad. It was embarrassing. And then I just got to a point. I'd had a couple of beers, and I was just like, do you know what? Fuck this. Like this is one of my heroes, one of my favorite singers, whatever. I'm going down the front, and I'm just going to enjoy it and embrace it. And he got better as it went on, and like me and my mate just went down the front and just got involved in the madness, and it turned into a good night. But he's singing, but that was back in the day when he didn't used to warm up his voice and that. So apparently he's got better over the years in the live performances, but he's quite renowned for it, isn't he? As not being the best live.
Tell you what, beautiful South there with these. They're from the north. Were they from the northwest?
Yeah, I think they're somewhere around then, aren't they?
Yeah.
Who else? The Farm, they were good live.
Cortina's, where are they from?
Cortina's from Manchester.
Yeah, they're not bad.
They're supposed to be quite good live as well. 808 State, that's who I'd like to have seen that. Seen them do a little bit of dance music, bit of house music. Guy called Gerald. Banger. Right, mate. We've already gone over our 45 minutes. So, as always, mate, appreciate you. I'm going to film my Cardiff City versus whoever they're playing on Saturday's preview now. Because I couldn't do it earlier because I had a puncture in my car. And away we go. What are you up to on the weekend? Golf.
No, football.
Charity game?
No, Darwin.
Ooh, a big game, is it?
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah,
Right.
big game. We've just been crap at recently, so yeah, need to turn it around, but see what happens.
Oh, mate, we didn't even talk about Salford, apparently, your former club.
No.
Through to the next round. I thought they were going to get United, you know.
I'm starving.
Right, go on. Go feed yourself, mate.
Oh, mate.
But guys, check out the Cardiff preview tomorrow. Also check out Sugar and Silk Boxing Podcast.
In a bit, motherfucker!